Welcome to the PCOS Lab. I'm Dr. Angela Potter. If you're tired of Band-Aid solutions and being told your labs are fine when you don't feel fine, you're in the right place. We use clinical engineering to move your body out of survival mode and into the biological safety required for motherhood. Let's get to work on your breakthrough. Imagine you are building your dream home. You've cleared the land, the debris is gone, and the site is ready. But when it comes time to frame the house, you use wood that is brittle, aged, and weak. Even with the most beautiful blueprints in the world, the house won't stand if the materials aren't high quality. In the world of fertility, your body is the architect, and the materials are your eggs and your hormones. Many women spend years using medication like letrozole or Clomid to force the construction to start. They get the framing up, they ovulate, but because the materials weren't reinforced during that critical maturation window, the structure cannot hold. If you've been ovulating but not staying pregnant, it's not that your body doesn't know how to build. It's that we haven't given it the high-grade materials that it needs to finish the job. Welcome to the PCOS Lab. I am Dr. Angela Potter, and today we are moving into the precision-heavy stage of the Fertile PCOS Clinical Blueprint. This is phase 2 ovarian architecture. So now that we've cleared the metabolic static in phase 1, we are turning our focus to the seed and the soil. We're talking about how we engineer superior egg quality and ensure your progesterone acts as the structural support needed for a pregnancy to actually take hold. Most women, they are told that the eggs they are born with are old or poor quality, as if it's a permanent label. But in clinical reality, we have a 90-day window of opportunity. Think of this as the manufacturing phase. Before an egg is ever released, it spends 3 months maturing in a fluid called follicular fluid. This fluid, it's the soil. If that soil is rich in the right nutrients and free from inflammatory markers, the egg develops strong mitochondria, the batteries it needs to divide and grow. In fact, your eggs hold the highest concentration of mitochondria in your entire body. In phase 2 of the blueprint, we don't just hope for a good egg. We architect one. I help you focus on the specific environment of that 90-day window to ensure that when you do ovulate, that egg has the structural integrity to become a healthy pregnancy. And today I'm going to unpack why just ovulating is only half the battle, how I help you optimize your follicular soil, and why progesterone is the key to making sure your cycle acts exactly the way it's supposed to. So before I pick up a single tool in phase 2, I have to do the most important work of all, the site inspection. I know you're listening and you're exhausted. You've been told by your doctor that everything is fine because your labs fall within those broad generic reference ranges. Yet you aren't ovulating. Your cycles are 45, 60, 90 days long or longer, and you are being told there's nothing else to do except take a pill to force an egg to drop. I want you to take a deep breath because here is the clinical truth. It is physiologically impossible for your body to withhold ovulation without a reason. Your body is not a random machine that just breaks. If you aren't ovulating, there is a concrete biological alarm being triggered somewhere in your labs. Conventional medicine, they often miss these because they aren't looking at the architecture of the signal. They're just looking for disease. But when I look at your labs inside the blueprint, I am not just looking for normal. I am looking for the why. Is it a subtle surge in internal heat from silent inflammation? Is it a metabolic backup in the liver? Is it a nutrient deficiency that has left your hormonal toolbox empty? Is it your hormones signaling that they don't have the backbone to do what they're meant to do? There is a profound, life-changing relief, a literal breath of fresh air that comes when you finally see the why on paper. My clients, they tell me this. They see their shoulders relax, because they're done with the constant wondering of why is my body not ovulating? They have that clear information when we meet and look over their labs to finally realize My body isn't failing me. It's protecting me from an environment it deems unsafe. So once I help you identify that specific alarm, the gaslighting ends. You move out of the fog of unexplained and into the concrete clarity of a structural plan. We stop guessing and we start architecting. So to understand phase 2 of the blueprint, we have to look at where your eggs actually live before they are released. They don't just sit in a vacuum. They mature inside a follicle filled with fluid. Inside the blueprint, I call this the follicular soil. And think about it this way. If you plant a high quality seed in dry, nutrient depleted, or even toxic soil, that seed will struggle to sprout, if it can sprout at all. In PCOS, high levels of insulin or lingering inflammation or other things, they act like pollutants in that soil, in that follicular soil. When you take medication like letrozole, it acts as an eviction notice. It forces the egg out of the follicle. But if that egg has been maturing in poor soil for the last 90 days, it may not have the mitochondrial energy, the literal battery power, to successfully fertilize or divide. So in phase 2 of the blueprint, the focus is on soil remediation. I use targeted clinical strategies to ensure that the fluid surrounding your eggs, it's rich in the antioxidants and nutrients required for cellular energy, for that battery power. I'm not just trying to help you get an egg to drop. I am ensuring that when it does, it's a grade A material. Now let's talk about what happens after the egg is released. This is where most conventional approaches stop, but it's where the clinical architect's work is most vital. So once you ovulate, your follicle transforms into a temporary hormone factory. That's called the corpus luteum. And in our building analogy that we're using today, if estrogen frames the house, progesterone is the foundation and insulation. It's what makes the uterine lining sticky and secure. In PCOS, we often see weak ovulation. You technically release an egg, but the factory is underpowered. Your progesterone didn't stay high enough to hold the structure up. This is exactly why so many women find themselves in my office after 6 successful medicated cycles that didn't lead to a baby. Without that structural support, the building can't hold up, and the cycle ends before a pregnancy can even be confirmed. So in phase 2, you work on the progesterone signal, ensuring your body acts the way it's supposed to during those critical 2 weeks after ovulation. If this is your story, if you've been told you're fine because you ovulated but you still aren't pregnant, you don't need more medication. You need an audit of your architecture. And this is exactly what we do in the PCOS fertility audit. I look at your labs, find the alarms, and see where the materials are failing you. And you can apply for one of those spots at the link in my show notes. Let's talk about why medicated cycles often fail without this structural support. So these women who are working with me after 3, 4, 5 successful medicated cycles that didn't lead to a baby, what was happening is that their doctors were looking at the quantity, did the egg drop, but they weren't looking at the quality. Did that egg have the energy to survive? Or even the structure. Was the progesterone high enough to hold it? In the Fertile PCOS Blueprint, I don't move you into phase 2 until we've done the clearance work in phase 1. Why? Because the soil can't be remediated if the system is still full of metabolic static. Your body is primed to use every nutrient we give it to build the highest quality materials possible. And if you didn't listen to last week's episode all about phase 1 and metabolic static, then head on over there next. I want to share a story now. And I want to share this story of a client who she was at a complete crossroads when she found me. She was in that spot where she had multiple medicated cycles that weren't working. And for the purpose of this story, we're going to call her Jenna. And Jenna had done exactly what her conventional doctors had told her to do. She had done 3 back-to-back medicated cycles. Each time her labs confirmed that she had ovulated, and her doctor gave her the green light. The quantity was there, but every single month it ended in a negative pregnancy test. I'm sure you can relate to the frustration for her was immense. that heartbreak that every time her period came after a supposedly successful cycle. And after those cycles, her medical team told her that since the medication worked, but she wasn't pregnant, her only next step was IVF. And that left Jenna to think a lot. And she shared this with me. She really had this intuition that I'm guessing you share this intuition. She was thinking, if my body isn't having regular cycles or ovulating on its own, I want to fix that internal environment first so that I can see those results in my body and feel healthy before I even consider a high intervention route like IVF. So she knew that moving to IVF right away without fixing her foundation was like trying to build a bigger house on the same shaky ground. That's when she started the Fertile PCOS Clinical Blueprint. And I really focused on that 90-day window of ovarian architecture. So I stopped forcing that eviction notice for her eggs and started remediating the soil. She went through phase 1, and I used that phase 1 to clear the metabolic static. And then in phase 2, she flooded her system with these high-grade materials needed to support her follicular fluid and her progesterone production. So by the time we were into that phase 2, her body started to act the way a fertile system should. For the first time, she saw those textbook fertile signs. She saw clear, stretchy cervical mucus that she hadn't seen for years. Her cycles became regular, not because of a pill, but because her internal communication was restored. And 6 months into our work together, just 2 full 90-day egg maturation cycles, Jenna conceived naturally, and she has a healthy baby boy now. What was the ticket for Jenna? She just needed to give her body the time and the materials to build a structure that could actually sustain life. That is the fundamental difference between forcing a result and architecting a foundation. So as we wrap up here, let's look at phase 2 ovarian architecture. And I want you to remember these 3 things about it. 1, ovulation, it's just the beginning. A positive LH strip or a dominant follicle is a great sign, but it doesn't tell us about the quality of the egg or the strength of the progesterone support that follows. Number 2, that 90-day window is your greatest asset. Your egg quality is not a fixed number. It is a reflection of the soil it has matured in over the last 3 months. You have the power to change that environment. And 3, progesterone is the structural support. If you want your cycle to do more than just act fertile, we have to ensure your body has the nutrient stockpile to produce the progesterone needed to hold a pregnancy. I am not just helping you look for a period. I am helping you look for a high-integrity cycle that can cross the finish line. So next week, we move into the final stage of the blueprint. That's phase 3, integrated hormone harmony. Now, here's the thing. Most women and most doctors, they stay hyper-focused on the ovaries. But the truth is, your reproductive system doesn't exist in a vacuum. If we ignore the rest of the architecture, we risk missing the silent system that is creating a cascade to shut down your ovulation from the outside in. So we're going to talk about how to look at your whole body health to ensure that every system is in alignment. So your fertility, it isn't just a temporary flash, but a sustainable reality. I'm Dr. Angela Potter, and this is the PCOS Lab. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If you're tired of the guesswork and ready for a clinical blueprint, it's time to stop researching and start signaling safety to your system. Head over to drangelapotter.com/start to take my PCOS ovulation assessment. In just 2 minutes, you'll identify what's triggering your fertility emergency brakes and get a clear roadmap for your next steps. And if you're ready for a deeper dive, you can book a private PCOS fertility audit right there on the same page. I'm Dr. Angela Potter. Your body is capable, your biology is brilliant, and your future is waiting. I'll see you in the next episode.